Welcome to Amazing People, episode number 2. I'm here with Gerren Sprauve. Gerren is a entrepreneur in Orlando. He runs a janitorial services company. He moved here how long ago?
In 2001.
In 2001, 16 years ago, and began a cleaning services company, which has now become very successful. I personally am a big fan of Gerren, not just because he's always helpful and encouraging to me, but because he's really uplifting and motivating. He treats his employees with a lot of respect, and there's a lot that people can learn from him. So, anything to add?
What he said. That's about it.
So, moving into it, can you tell me about the beginning of Clean Slate Janitorial Services, your company?
Yeah, sure. So we started back in 2006, and well, it started out of pain. You know, a lot of people complain about, not being happy on their jobs and not being into what they're doing and so forth. And my wife and I, we were coming home every night and crying, literally crying. And in the mornings when we woke up and it was time to go into work, if you can imagine, two people laying on the bed with a pillow and we're looking at each other like, I don't want to go into work today, and at some point we said, this has to stop. And if some other events took place, which I'll tell you about later on, which prompted me to select cleaning as the choice. And here we are, 12 or so years later. Yeah.
So how do you, I mentioned that you're really good at handling employees. So what do you feel about your employees? What's the importance of the word thank you? How do you recognize them? What's important about them?
Yeah, so it's interesting that you asked that question. So thank you, the word thank you. That was one of the things that really kicked off Clean Slate. And I've mentioned this to several people, where in the beginning I was taking my wife out to dinner to have a nice dinner at night, and the guy who was cleaning down the table, he's wiping that table down, trying to set things up and put things in place and so forth. And we're standing there, and he wouldn't look up at me. So he's just wiping it down, setting it up, and he's ready to go. And as he turns to walk off, I said, "Excuse me, sir, thank you." And he looks at me, he's like, well, why would you say that? I said, well, you didn't just clean down the table, you prepared a place for my wife and I to have dinner. So thank you. And he started to smile. He's like, I did all of that? I said, yeah. And from there, he took off to the next table, and he's like wiping it down with a smile, and he's looking up, and he's cleaning, and he's fixing things up. And I said, I want to do that again. And that is what prompted me to begin this whole journey of building a business, bringing on employees, people that I could talk to, I could mentor, I could learn from, the whole nine. So when some people look at me and they ask, well, who's your competitor? And I know a lot of people tend to say, well, you should have competitors. I guess I do, but my reason for being in business really isn't about cleaning. It's about people. So that's what drives everything that I do.
What makes you different than another owner of a similar company?
I can't answer that question. People have to answer that question. It's like someone can sit down and brag on themselves all day long, but if the people who are working with them don't feel that way, then is it really true? So I do what I do. I take care of people in the way that I do, and there are many ways in which I can improve on, but I do what I do with what I know today, and people then tell me how that impacts them. So for instance, one of my employees or someone, they are an employee now, yeah. I remember in the interviewing process with this one young lady, just from the beginning of the interview, the onset of it, she stopped me and she said, like, why do you care? Why are you asking me all these questions? No one has ever asked me these questions before in an interview and after I've gotten a job. And I said, well, I want to ensure that it's a good fit. I want to ensure that we're good for you and that you're good for us. Does that make sense? Wouldn't that be fair? And she said, yeah, but nobody's ever asked me those kind of questions. And from there, once she came on board, she knew exactly why she was coming on board. It wasn't just a job for her. It was about all those different things that she said she needed to accomplish. And the fact that we were going to hold her accountable for accomplishing those things. Every day she comes in to work with that purpose, and she's working towards that. And I always check in, hey, how are we doing? I'm here. Okay, what do you need next? And then we move forward from that. So that's what I get out of what I do. It isn't about that toilet brush and a bowl.
What are some of the more important encounters you've had with some of your employees in terms of, so that's one, where someone came in and had felt like they were cared for more. How does that impact the way that they work? How does it impact them outside their life?
Yeah. So one of the things that I really think about is how can I help people to be a better version of themselves? And the reason why I am so into that is because I want the people around me to help me be a better version of myself. So there's this reciprocity, this exchange of value. And when people come in the door saying, I want a job, I'm like, no, you don't want a job. Because if you didn't have to work, you wouldn't work. What do you really want to do? And they're taken aback because, well, what do you mean? I'm on a job. Yeah, I hear you, but what do you really want to do out of life? Then you see them like pause, reflect, and then they go into this whole totally different thing that they didn't think they would have done. And they start sharing things that's important to them, sharing things that's going on in their homes, their dreams, things that occurred when they were a child, and they just start expressing themselves in a way that I didn't even imagine the conversation going. But it allows them to put it on the table, and then we can ask the question, well, how do you believe we can help? Like, you're here today because you said you wanted a job, but you found out why you're really here. How do you think we can help? And as they lay it out to us and say, well, I want to be in a place that's nurturing, a place where I can learn, a place where I can feel respected. Once I share with them who we are, I would ask them the question, well, is that a good fit for you? Do you think we are what you're looking for? If they say yes, it's their belief that they said yes, versus me saying, yeah, you're a good fit, we want you on board. They believe that we're a good fit. So we just honor what they've asked of us. And in exchange, we ask them to honor what we ask of them. If there's ever a point where one of us is kind of falling short, we're going to have that conversation again. Are we still a good fit? Am I still doing for you what it is you needed me to do for you? And then they can share, you know what I mean? It's back and forth. But it's just that whole thing of always touching base with how are we doing, how are we doing, how are we doing? And if it's working, then let's keep working together. Until, the end comes, then go off and do your next assignment.
Well, I've always been impressed, and I've known you for a year and a couple of months, and you've personally helped motivate and uplift me. What I've noticed, because of how you conduct yourself, people treat you differently than they would otherwise, because you talked about reciprocity. They reciprocate what you're giving them, right? So, and of course, like in the world and society, like people don't treat each other well a lot in a lot of instances, and I'd imagine that given how you conduct yourself, it would happen less frequently to you.
Yeah, so Jay, I look at the world, and I remember someone telling me, Gerren, your eyes are blinded. And, I chuckled, and then I left that conversation because I look at the world in the way that I need to look at it so that I can get the results that I'm looking for out of it. If I go onto Facebook and I look for the hate, I can find hate. If I look for really warm and uplifting types of stories, I can find that too. So knowing that I'm drawn to what it is I'm looking for, I choose to look for the best in people. So when people are, and I'm sure people have been mean to me over the years, I just can't remember so much because I wasn't looking for that out of them. So if someone was being mean to me and I said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that or please go ahead. It diffuses whatever they were trying to do. They're walking around with that hate. Me, I'm oblivious to it because I wasn't looking for that in them.
Yeah.
I was looking for an opportunity to help someone else or to open the door for someone else or whatever, so you are what you
project, or what you're feeling inside, maybe,
and what you seek. Yeah, whatever's on your mind, that's what you are.
Yeah. And so what's an example of how that's applied in business for you?
It's a great question. take for instance, let's go back to when I was starting. So you have a 6'4" black male, bald head, goatee, coming to your office or to your door saying, "I will clean for you." And some people looked at me and they're like, "You clean?" I'm like, "Yeah." Close the door in my face. And I was like, okay. What's going on? And I have some friends of mine who would say to me, they're like, Gerren, they used to call me like the angry black man. Because when I'm thinking, I'm looking like this, okay? So you got the frown, I'm thinking. And they're like, "Gerren, why are you so angry?" And I'm like, "I'm not angry." And they're like, "Yeah, you are." I'm like, "I'm not, I'm just thinking." So what I did was I went to the mirror and I started looking at myself and I was like, oh, that's what they see. So I started to rub it out. And then I started seeing what my face looked like. And I said, well, let me go ahead and test that. So I went to these same doors with my same pitch, but with this different look on my face. And I started seeing people being more receptive to me.
How'd you change the look?
From this, me thinking, to me thinking.
Okay. So you got rid of the...
Just this.
Okay, the eyebrows and the...
So I'm testing the small things. As opposed to saying, oh, that person is this, or that person is that. I'm looking at myself first and saying, well, what could I do? What could I change in order to get whatever result it is I'm looking for? So I'm looking at myself, okay? So I'm doing that, boom, 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 and all of a sudden now I'm getting more results.
Yeah.
So I am riding that wave. Test something, try it out. Test it, try it, see what I get. That way I don't look at any negativity that could have come from that conversation or from that interaction.
Okay.
So before I blame others, I check myself. I take that same approach into business. And even when things are occurring and things aren't going well, employees are messing up and so forth, before I blame them, I check myself. Gerren, what could you have done differently? Did you give the team the tools that they needed? Do they have the resources around them? I check myself, then test again. So that's how I take some of those things that I learned in my personal life and in my business, and I kind of like intermingle them, because we're all one and the same. I mean, I'm the same guy, you know? I act more silly with my friends and my family, but out in the world, business world, I'm the same guy, you know? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. All right, Jay, we're gonna blow this all up, and we're just gonna look at it from a very granular level.
Okay.
There are people right now who are at work who are unhappy, and they want to be happy. Let's leave it just right there.
Okay.
Not I want another job, or I hate this place, I want to leave it. I'm unhappy and I want to be happy.
Yeah.
How do we make that jump? All right, so if we throw that out into the atmosphere, I'll go back to my story. In 2006, when I was working at Hartford's insurance company out of Lake Mary, Florida, I remember going to one of my bosses, and it wasn't in 2006 that I did, it was in 2005. But I remember going to him, one of my supervisors, and I was asking him, what do you see in me? Like, you see me here every day, I'm coming to work, you know, I'm trying to do my job, but what do you see in me beyond this? And I'm pleading with him because I figured as a manager, as my supervisor, he is seeing the talent that exists. And he said to me, he said, Gerren, we hired you to do a job. I need you to go back to your desk and do the job.
What job was that?
I was a claims adjuster.
Okay.
So imagine me behind a desk, answering phones, and sometimes not, and responding to attorneys and responding to judges, and you know, It wasn't my thing, man. Trying to get people back to work. I'll say this, my objective was to get people back to work. If I took what I know now, go back then, I probably would be better at the job, because I would look at it from the standpoint of, these are people who need to provide for their families, or these are employers who want to give to these employees, to their employees. How can I mend that relationship, that broken relationship? If I looked at it that way, probably I would have walked in the door every day caring more. But at that point, it was just claims adjusting. Wasn't too interested, but I was doing my job, kinda. And I'm just saying, I wasn't totally committed.
That's what happens when you're not bought in.
Correct, absolutely correct.
And so what were the instincts welling up within you? Like you were doing this, and I'm sure you're doing fine enough.
Yeah.
But what were you feeling like? This is not for me. I'm more independent.
Right.
There's more I can do for my own self, for other people. Not in this position.
Yes, great question. So I'm working there, And wait, Toastmasters teaches us we should never start a conversation with so. Full stop. I'm working there, Jay, and I am not successful. And when I say successful, I mean there are other people who are depending on me to do my job well, and they are struggling because I'm not performing my job well.
I'm sure you did it well enough, though. Right.
I could have been better. It just wasn't, there wasn't that,
right.
We weren't in sync.
Yes.
So I was coming in and just doing a job. So just by having that problem, I'm affecting my personal relationships with my coworkers because I'm not performing professionally. So we have that. Then we have Gerren and his wife waking up in the morning miserable, crying, physical crying. And then I remembered when my brother or my wife told me that, Gerren, the drink that you're drinking every morning to go into work has alcohol in it. And I wasn't someone who drank before. But I was realizing that I was so dependent on this specific drink. And it was actually helping me to be calm, to come into work. When I saw that, I was like, I have a problem.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we had coworkers. I had coworkers who were there at work who were miserable. So every time we went out for lunch, they were like, I hate this job. I hate this, da da da. And I remember one time I told one guy, his name was Eric, I said, well, why don't you just quit? And the table got quiet. Shortly thereafter, he did quit. And he's been, to my knowledge, he's been happy since. When that occurred and all these other things were happening in my life, I realized I needed to make a difference. I needed to make a change. That's what it was. And I said, well, how can I provide for my family and still be happy? That was a question that I asked myself. How can I provide for my family and still remain happy and meet people? I was very much interested in meeting people. So I'm in a cubicle for 8-10 hours a day, not meeting people, just talking to people on the phone, miserable. But within me, I want to get out and talk to people.
Okay.
So
but isn't talking on the phone kind of like, well, no.
Yeah, well, if you look at it that way. But people were talking at me, you're like, why don't you get this done?
Oh, it's not the sort of relationship you want.
Yeah, not that kind. But I wanted to grow, I wanted to learn, and I wasn't getting that from within the environment where I was. So it was like, how can I get out there and talk to people and learn from people? And I was always interested in business because I've come from a family where my father was an entrepreneur, my mother was an educator. My uncles were entrepreneurs, my grandmother was an educator. Right now my brother and my sister are educators, my brother and and myself, they're entrepreneurs. So we fall into that valley. So it was like, how can I? I kept asking myself, how can I? And then I started asking, what am I willing to do legally? What am I willing to do? Gotta be real. Gotta be real about it. So I wanted to come home every day. Every day. I didn't want to be, in any kind of problems. So by asking myself those key questions, how can I provide? What am I willing to do? When do I want to get it done by? I knew I had to make a decision. So I saved up whatever money we had, my wife and I think at that time we had only saved probably like $8,000. And I pleaded with my wife. Well, not even pleaded. I asked her what were her thoughts, and I told her, this is what I want to do. I just need you to back me. And I said, I'm willing to do whatever legally to provide for us, even if this doesn't work. I'll go to work at McDonald's, I'll go to work anywhere, if you just back me on this. So we took our initial money, and initially we purchased a curbing business, a concrete curbing business, decorative curbing around your landscaping.
Yeah.
Did it for a few months, didn't work out, sold that, and then got into cleaning. Okay. And the story for cleaning was, like I mentioned before, I've shared with some other people where I saw the gentleman, wiping the table, and he said, I told him, thank you for wiping the table and preparing the place for my wife and I to have dinner. His life seemed to change instantaneously because it seemed as though he knew why he was there now. And when I saw the smile on his face, I told my wife I wanted to do that again. So then we didn't know how I was going to do that again. Cleaning hadn't yet fully come into play. But I was working out with a friend of mine, Keith. He was cleaning some places. I would go out and work with him. And one day I said, I think I can do this. He's like, do what? I was like, I think I can do this cleaning thing. And he was like, no. This is a part-time job, dude. Keep your day job. Don't do this. And I was like, I think I can do this. But I was thinking about all those other opportunities, all those other events that occurred. Me meeting the guy at dinner, me wanting more, me asking myself, well, how can I And I was like, I think I can do this, and I can improve on what you're doing. And so I took the step. Here's the big kicker. It wasn't a very popular step. Because
you mean between your family and people around you?
It wasn't popular to the people around me. My wife understood where we were going. Everyone else didn't as yet. Mm-hmm. So they're like, why are you going from dressing in slacks and a button-up shirt to now putting on jeans and a polo shirt to go out and clean toilets? And I was like, it's not about the toilets, but I knew where we were going. And I think that's what people need to understand.
Where were you going?
I was seeking happiness.
Okay.
I was going to find happiness. So it's like packing a backpack.
Yeah.
You put it on, and I'm going to climb this mountain.
Yeah.
And you just start walking.
Yeah.
I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm going. Whether you come in or not, I'm going. So I was seeking happiness.
Well, in this book, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, it's about a guy or a kid, I think, who just follows instinct after instinct and allows that to guide him. And he goes from Egypt to some other place, and every place he goes, he ends up finding, a position for himself.
Yeah.
He turns out okay, and he has a very enthralling journey.
Yeah.
And it sounds like for you, deep instincts within you told you to leave and make a very unconventional decision.
Yeah.
As it applies to me, when I used to work as a tutor, and I left that job, and I'm now working on being a professional speaker who helps bring people like you and these ideas out into the forefront, as well as my own ideas, to help people out. And it's also a decision that people around me question, because you're losing your money, and what are you going to do? What's your plan? And it's similar to what you said. I didn't have an exact plan. I knew my direction, and I knew I'd be okay for a little while financially. And I've just been going with it, and going, ramping up. The more I've done it, my mindset has become better. I've got filming equipment, I've got lights, I've got people to film with, I've got ideas to talk about, none of which were easy for me to do. My mind wouldn't think about that when my time and mind space was occupied by the previous job.
Absolutely.
Which was a really good job, but it wasn't, I knew it inside that it wasn't for me. It began to eat me up a little bit.
Yeah. Even though you were really good at what you did.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So how many people do you believe are out there right now who are really good at what they do, but it's not bringing them happiness? I know one guy who is making, he's close to 6 figures, if not over, and he's miserable. But the lifestyle that he's built around his income he believes is too high for him to take a leap and do something else. So he's finding that, and I have to say this well, he believes that he's stuck.
Right, it's a common thing when you're, because if he were making half, he'd be spending half, right? So he could still spend half and then keep the other half for his own buffer. So it's
And his long days are keeping his mind so occupied that he doesn't take the time. Can't say he doesn't have the time, but he doesn't take the time to pause to figure out, like, what do I really, really want to do?
Yeah. So for me personally, I've started to, when I left tutoring and I started doing this stuff, it took me a while to get going. I got equipment, as I said, and instincts have been coming to me, like when I've been asleep, when I've been driving, when I've been talking on the phone, no matter what I'm doing, every so often just ideas come into my head. Like Paul McCartney said of the Beatles, he said, the song Yesterday just came to me one day. I don't sit around thinking of these things.
Right.
And so for me, I kind of fell forward into this new path. And there's this concept called burning the boats, in which, like if people in the old days went to a new territory, they burnt their boat so they couldn't leave. They had to make sure that they got their job done. And because there's no other option. And that is a tactic people could use, certainly. It's not necessarily the best tactic, but in my case, that's ended up being what I've been doing, and it's been very helpful because I'm totally committed. There's no plan B.
Correct.
As far as I'm concerned.
Correct. So for me, when I decided to turn in my resignation, and I'll tell you this, it happened in dramatic form, I must say. So one of my supervisors says, Gerren, I need you to do better work, or you need to just get off the ship or get off the boat, something like that, she said. I walked back to my desk. I called my wife, and she must have heard the way that I was breathing or something, and she just said, "Do it." I said nothing, hung up the phone, typed it up, walked over to the lady, and I said, "I think I'm gonna get off the boat." And she, "Gerren, no. No, I was just, no. I was just, not that I was kidding, but I wanted you to just do better, Gerren." I was like, no. I think I'm gonna get off the boat. And that is how I left it. Now, once I quit, my back's against the wall. What am I gonna do? I either have to do what I said that I was gonna do, or I need to suck up my pride and just go back and do my job. But I put myself in a position where I had no other choice but to, in my mind, do what I said I was going to do.
Right.
Took that step forward.
And that it turned out to be similar in both of our cases. It's not the only way at all, because a lot of times your plan A that you think is going to work won't work.
Right.
But sometimes you need to believe in it totally and fully, and go for it, and only then will it work.
It's
hard
to
to
what
know.
You just said. The plan A, because I was focused on happiness, and I'm interested in knowing what you were focused on when you had that epiphany. But because I was focused on happiness, it could come in a variety of ways, or the journey could come in a variety of ways. I was committed to that. So I believe that. So even if my plan A, which was a curbing business, didn't work out, I learned something from opening and closing or selling a curbing business that I used in the next step. You with me?
Yeah.
So the plan A isn't the success. That's a goal when people say, well, I want to, like some people say, I want to go to the NFL. When they say that as a kid, once they get to the NFL, what's the goal? They've achieved it. And then what? Well, I guess I have achieved my goal. I just wanted to go to. Now, that's a goal too. But what about goals through? Mm-hmm. That first business that I bought and sold was a goal through to get to happiness.
Yeah.
I was working when I had that business. Now I'm happy helping people. It's different. But it still started with that curbing business and the toilet bowl cleaning business.
I'm sure in those, and in the insurance business too, you were working on solving customers' problems.
It was a job. I cannot find anything that I attach to other than the friends that I've met, the people that I've met from that job.
But during the job, though, I'm sure there was an element of handling customers' complaints and addressing that, right? I'm sure, which helps you as a business owner today.
That's being nice.
Okay.
It literally was a job.
Okay.
Now, I was an advocate for my my team while I was there. I would be the outspoken one sometimes. I would get into trouble for that. But I realized that I had those types of natural qualities. Or like I wanted to help people. I wanted to be the advocate, the person who stood ahead of everyone and said, I got you. I just didn't know how to place all of those different things.
Yeah.
If I go back to high school, I was taking personality tests back then. And when I went to college, I was taking personality tests and professional tests. And they oftentimes said consulting, coaching, psychologist, mentor, teacher. Those are the types of things that it says as those are my strengths. I didn't want to be any of those things in a traditional form. But I didn't know what else or how else I could use those skills.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah.
So it's by me taking that journey to want to meet people, being willing to risk losing income, having a supportive wife, by far the best thing ever, and taking those different steps, I was able to understand what those results meant. Like, Gerren, you can mentor and coach and talk to people and love on people in a variety of ways. Just be creative about it. So when I asked myself, how can I be happy, be a mentor, coach, psychologist, counselor, and all that, all these different things opened up. Cleaning was one. I probably could have been, a rug maker and probably still find happiness coming from where I came from.
Okay.
I could probably sell telephones and find happiness. It's just a vehicle, but the goal is happiness.
So what's to say you couldn't have found happiness when you were working the insurance business?
I did not have the experience to know myself well enough.
Okay.
So I had to put myself, there's something that you and I talked about where what is it that you call it? Where you create a control environment or an uncomfortable environment. Say the term. we were talking one time, and it's the coach from your classes.
Oh, expansion and contraction.
They talked about if you want to grow, you have to create an uncomfortable space to grow in so that you learn out of it. It was some term that you used, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had to create that for myself in order for me to be uncomfortable, but I know I was very much willing.
Yeah.
So once willing and I had a goal, was set, those two things were in play, I could be as uncomfortable along the journey because I knew I was focused on those things. Happiness, helping people.
Yeah.
That's it.
And so going back to people following their dreams and passions, like you know, if I could rewind things, I would have played a lot more tennis when I was growing up, but I didn't because I was focusing on other things. So as it relates now, like I do work like this, which I really enjoy, and I want to help uplift people, help them get the strategies, tactics, belief to do what's best for them.
Okay.
I also want to play tennis, and those things are the things that bring me happiness. And for me, it's hard to. You talked about if you could be a rug maker or things like that. For me, I don't feel that way.
Okay.
I feel like if I'm not doing these things, I'm not going to be feeling happy right now.
If you're not 2006, my mindset is I want to meet people. I want to meet people and I want to learn from people. That's my goal, okay? That will bring me happiness because there were many times when I would leave my home in the morning. At the same time my wife is heading back to work, I would leave to do my entrepreneurial thing. I would come home at the end of the day and I'm like, Joe, you should have heard the conversation that I had with Jay or the conversation that I had with Tony, whatever. And I would tell her about this conversation and I'm excited, and she would listen patiently. And at the end she was like, but did we pick up any new clients today, Gerren? No, but the conversation was so on point. You see what I mean? So she was thinking about, hey, we need to provide for this
Bottom
home.
line, yeah.
I'm like, I connected with someone. Yeah, but it doesn't pay the bills. She wouldn't say that, but that's what she really implied. So I had to figure out how can I help pay the bills. Okay, all right. So I was willing to do anything to be able to enjoy having conversations with people. So as I'm cleaning, I'm vacuuming, I'm working late. If you're the owner of a company and you're working late also, I might come in and I'm vacuuming. Hey, Mr. Shah, why are you working late tonight? It's kind of late. And you would start talking to me. And I'm cleaning and I'm wiping stuff down. And you would answer my question. I would engage you with another question. What's something that, what do you guys do here? I mean, where do you want to go with your business next? I'm cleaning, and you talk to me some more. I'm asking open-ended questions. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was set on a goal, okay? And this is what was coming out of me. I'm asking you questions, and you're telling me your experiences. You're telling me the challenges that you're facing in your job while I'm cleaning. So I'm using cleaning to get close to you.
Okay.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
And you get to share your knowledge with me, and I go home feeling fed, and I get a paycheck at the end.
Yeah.
Are you with me? So I used cleaning as the vehicle to get what I wanted, which was to get close to people and learn from them.
Yeah.
If I wasn't cleaning, how else could I come in and pick your brain? How else?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We wouldn't have talked.
We wouldn't have met.
Yeah.
So what do? I'm out there now lonely, still trying to find somebody to talk to, not having any reason to talk to them really. So cleaning allowed me to do that. So it's a vehicle. So if we looked at the vehicles that we can use to get what it is we want, the world it's like wide open. You can do anything you want to do.
It's so much easier to make a living today doing almost anything than it ever was. So how would you give advice to somebody who is trying to use like happiness as their goal for guiding their career decisions? Or let's say someone is in a job and doesn't want to change it, but just wants to change the way they do it.
Right.
Like, what do you think? Like, I would think that following instincts like that, if you're extroverted in that way and like talking and like enjoying and shared happiness, to use the job as a vehicle to just talk to more people and learn about them and the way that they do a clean slate.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And that leads to a more constructive, environment, more open. Yeah.
But you see how you're developing why that job is now important? Before it was just a job that paid you. But when you started looking at it as that tool to help you get what it is you wanted, now I'm more inclined to go into work with a happy,
Yeah,
just
you're
feeling better
living and you're doing,
because I want that end goal.
yeah, and also in an environment in which you're providing something to the employer or the society or something.
Yes. So you look at your work. In the grand scheme of things, I may or may not remain in the cleaning industry. Who knows? It's not because I'm interested or not. There may be opportunities where I might sell it to one of my employees who's really interested in something like this, who really wants to grow from that. I might say, like, you go, take it. We've created these systems and these processes. Go ahead and improve on it. Be better. And if that works for them and it allows me to move closer towards happiness, it was my assignment for that time, for 2006 through whatever.
Okay.
And I've completed that assignment.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to the next assignment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't have had the time to sit down here and talk with you had I not quit. Had I not cleaned with you.
Right. And it's come from a deeper knowing, I bet. Like, you feel one with what you're doing.
And that came over time. But I was willing to take the hard journey. My family, my friends, they were all willing to take that hard journey with me in order for me to get here.
So how do you have the strength to do that? So you have a conviction. Okay, I know that what I'm doing right now is not correct. I need to change it. It's going to be risky. But how do you go from there to actually then changing? Because then you have to take all these risks, and it's scary. Like, maybe you don't have income, and you have a career demotion or something.
Yeah.
Why? I'll say personally, like, I've just known it. I know it so deeply. I know so deeply what I need to do with speaking in my career that I've known it, and that knowing has been. It gets obscured, and I go backwards. I think, oh God, what happens if this doesn't work? But again, the knowing then comes back stronger. It's like it goes up, then it goes down, then it goes up, then it goes down, then it goes up. So my motivation only continues to increase in the long run, and that's what pushes and motivates me to push forward with what I'm doing, because what I'm doing is not conventional.
Well, let me ask you this, because what you've just shared with me seems to be about Jay. Who needs what you're wanting to do? And who told you so?
I've seen a lot of just bad stuff going on, like just the people who are just unhappy in so many ways, and like from what I've understood from my life experiences, talking to people, thinking, thoughts that come to me, and stuff that I've studied, right, and just life experiences. Whatever it is I can provide about talking about bullying, right, for kids, or even not for kids, for adults maybe, about finding happiness, like in your workplace, finding happiness by changing your workplace, following your dreams, right? Like, again, I wish I played tennis. But I'm doing everything I can to play as much as I can now. I have a tennis coach, and I work a lot on fitness. I'm doing what I wish I did 10 years ago. And I'll use my example to demonstrate to people that it's possible. But it works out differently for everybody. What works for me might not work for Gerren, and vice versa, or for someone else. But who wants what I have? I mean, that's time will tell. But I'm gonna be putting it out there, and we'll see how it gets received.
So all right, you're wanting to play tennis in my mind, and I'm just downloading all of this and trying to having it connect to what's going on in my mind right now. I see your wanting to play tennis is like my wanting to talk to new and very wise people. Like, that's our end goal. That can continue on and on and on. You can continue to talk, you can continue to play, as long as your body holds up. So the question I would ask myself is, what will allow me to be able to play tennis anytime I want? That's my question. If I ask myself that question, then anything can help me do that. It just creates a more wider set of options versus going to the classified to see what jobs are available out there. I'm not thinking that way.
Right, you're thinking how to get to your end goal of for me, for tennis, so what lifestyle can I create so that this is there?
Yeah,
right.
At any time you want.
And I think one problem, that common mistake, is that people just wait for the future, right? Wait for this goal that they have to pan out, and then believe that at the time they get that goal that they'll be able to live that happy life. So let's take your friend who makes six figures, for example. He may have thought, like, maybe he made $50,000 a year, a few years ago. He may have thought, when I'm at six figures, boy, I'll be able to save 50,000 or 40, whatever, and it's going to be great. I'll be padding my account, and I know I'm going to start taking some time off and doing what I want. And he probably just got sucked further in. So I think it's important to do what you want to do now.
Yeah. So, and there are people trying to figure out, how can I do what it is I want to do now? And is what it is I think I want to do now what it is I'm supposed to do now? Two different things. And people sometimes want it now when there has to be typically a journey in between. And a lot of people aren't committed to the journey. Take, for instance, there may be people right now who are making, I don't know, $75,000 a year or less, whatever. And they would say, man, or they may pray to God, if I could just pay off my bills, I would be, or God, if I could just get a raise, I would do. If someone came to them and said, I would offer you $200,000, would you take the job? Some may say yes, because it's $200,000. If I were to offer you $200,000, but you had to do this, you had to go down this type of journey, would you take the $200,000? I believe that there are people who would jump off. They just prayed to God for that pay raise. He provided them an opportunity to do that, but they didn't want to take the journey, meaning they didn't want to put in the hard work. They didn't want to not have or to cut back or whatever. They just didn't want to do that, but they want the end result. I think that's what we're finding right now, where there's a lot of people who are looking at all these folks on social media and saying, I want that, I want this, I want that, but they're not willing to put in the work. And there's a statement that someone told me. They said the process will always win. The process will always win. It's kind of like betting on the house. They will always win. So either you go through the process now or you go through it later. So someone who says, I want to be an instant millionaire, and let's just say they do something really well and they hit it rich, they become a millionaire. Now they don't know how to manage the millions, or they don't know what to do. Or someone whose job or whose business, because they put it out there and they got a picture with some famous person, they got the hug of death, where someone came in and said, yeah, I like this guy. And now everybody's buying their products, and now they can't handle all of that mass growth. They just got what they wanted, but they don't know how to.
This relates to what you said earlier about when you get to the NFL, well, there are a lot of other goals that come after that, right? And if you don't honor process and getting to the goal, once you get to the goal, there's no end point there. It only continues. I mean, we only get older, and there's only more work to do. And I don't mean this negatively. I'm just saying there are more things that need to be done.
Absolutely.
And they need to be handled with the right sort of care.
Absolutely. So while you were setting your goals as far as wanting to become a tennis player and to continue playing tennis, and deep within, your goal is to be a speaker, and I'm asking, who needs that information? Because if you focus on the people that need that information, then you're willing to go through all of this, the interviewing, the speaking to other people, the reaching out, making the tough phone calls. You're willing to do all those different things in order to give to those people what it is they need.
Yeah.
And if you just focus on that, your life all the things that you want will come. Mm-hmm. So I focus, that's what I do at Clean Slate. That's what I do within my personal life. I focus on the people and what results they want.
Yeah. It was a winding journey for me too. I mean, I took acting school for a while.
Yeah.
And then I dropped that once I realized that I wanted to be a speaker. But from acting school, I learned a lot about human interactions, how to deliver lines, how to present things, which helps as a speaker, how to develop emotion, which is something I'm working on still.
Yeah. It's part of the process, though.
And then once I dropped that and I started doing speaking, I joined Toastmasters, which is where I met you. And tennis has been the constant through the whole thing. So I like what you're saying about process. Yeah. And the content is like, I spent the same effort on acting school that I do on Toastmasters, that I do on stuff like this. And so I guess, process with everything to get the most out of it.
Yeah. So this is this is video 2. I want to check you back at video 17. What's that going to look like?
Yeah.
We may think that this is really good. Oh yeah, we did our best. We got the right lighting. We got the right camera angles. Check you back at video 17 when you have reviewed and learned from every other video. And
gotten feedback. Feedback is really, really important.
So you tell me about that. Why is feedback important to you? And tell me, how do you how have you learned to accept feedback?
Okay, so a speech that I want to give is called "Criticize Me Hard," and "Criticize Me Hard" is about how. Okay, so people don't like criticism. They have a pretty like emotional reaction to that. They feel negative. They can shut down. It can take the wind out of their sails and make them. It can make them depressed. It can stop them from wanting to work out the next day.
Yeah.
And so and I know that and so for me, like it's important that I have thick skin and that I continue to get both support and negative feedback or criticism.
Okay.
So why? Because I need to be the best that I can be. And
Does it need to be negative feedback, or should it just be feedback?
Well, both, but I think negative feedback is important. Right?
If it's feedback on how you should improve, would that be easier received on a mass scale than negative feedback?
Well, it would be easier received, but sometimes when somebody says something that's irksome or makes you angry, like I got a feedback about a speech that I gave that I didn't like, and it was aggressive feedback, and it kind of got under my skin.
Or was it the feedback was bad, or was it the aggressiveness of?
It was the aggressiveness of the delivery. Okay. But there's I don't recommend anybody. There are a lot of ways I think when someone gives feedback of any sort, even when it's critical, to be very respectful.
Yeah.
But when that's not happening, right? When someone's being aggressive in the way that they say something, and I immediately listened to what that person was saying, and I rejected a lot of it, just because it was coming at me in this aggressive way. I got this aggressive feedback and I rejected a lot of it, but because it got under my skin, I actually thought about the feedback a lot in the next few days.
Yeah.
So in an inadvertent way, it actually helped a lot.
Okay.
But that's how I responded to it. That's not the right way to give feedback. You talked to me about the speech and you said that we need to have patience.
Yeah.
Right? And the way that you said that really helped calm me. It helped uplift me, it made me feel comfortable, and that was a really good way of addressing the fact that there are certain problems with my speech, but we're going to be patient. You said that I wanted to be the best of the best, and so but it takes time, right? You gave all the critical points that you should have, and phrased it in a way that was helpful and encouraging. So the way in which you evaluated my speech, it was totally both critical or like feedback, and it was also supportive. And I think those two things are very important when delivering.
Yeah.
But as far as receiving criticism, you can't count on anybody to be, one way or the other.
Right.
You're going to get people who are very supportive but don't give the necessary criticism. You're going to get people who are very critical who aren't supportive.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of knowing how to handle it.
Yeah. And
listening to everything.
Would you know that even being there was, I don't want to say it was nerve-wracking for me, but it was challenging. It was challenging for me going up there. And I even questioned if what I said, which what you just alluded to, if that was actually the right thing to say. So when I went back to my seat, I'm like, if the whole thing was recorded, the whole meeting, you would have seen me like, should I have said that? Should I have said, like, you should be patient with Jay? And I was questioning that.
Yeah.
But herein, you're telling me that was what it was you needed.
Yeah, and we don't know how things we say are received, and so you might not have known how it felt, but it felt great to me.
Yeah.
To be really just encouraged, and I'd imagine that's how you treat your employees too, right?
Yeah.
Anytime there's something going on, like I'm sure you never take out anger on them or frustration, right?
And I would love if someone would interview them to test, to just give feedback on me, because when I sit before them or I'm speaking to them or speaking with them, I'm asking them the question, well, how am I doing? And the last time I asked that question, they said, Gerren, you're not showing up. We don't see you as often. In the beginning, we would see you, but we don't see you as often anymore. And I asked them, well, why is that important to you? Like, well, because you talked to us about all these different things that we could do, and we felt that we could learn from you. And now you're not here all the time. Sometimes you just want to get the pat on the back, like we're doing a good job. I'm like, but you are. I said, no, but we want to see you tell us we're doing a great job. So what I did was I told them, I said, guys and gals, I'm not showing up because I don't want to see you. I decided not to show up as often because I didn't want to get in the way. I wanted to give you guys the tools and the processes, everything that you need. And every time I'd show up, I would ask them, what do you guys need? What do you need to do your job better? And I would give it to them, whatever they asked for. And I would tell them, if I get this for you, I need to see some improvements. Yes? And they're like, yeah, because you said you wanted this to do your job better. Okay, cool. Here it is. So I would invest in them that way. Now they don't have any excuses. All right, put that on the shelf. They said they wanted me to show up, and I said I was giving you all the tools and letting you do your job so you can know that you could do it. I didn't want to show up and tell you or suggest to you anything yet. I wanted you to do it, mess up, we talk about it, we improve, go ahead, do it again. And then you walk away saying, I can do this. Yeah, you can. But they were saying for me, Gerren, I want you to at least pat me on the back. Good job. Shake my hand and say, hey, show me something, teach me something new. So I'm learning that even though I have the best intentions, they're not always, like you said, they're not always received in the best way. Mm-hmm. But it's this whole journey, man. So I'm learning how to communicate with people differently and seeing what people need. I mean, and a lot of the things that I do there at work, I have to go, when I'm going home, I'm thinking like, am I doing this at home consistently? Am I doing this at home at all?
This is all about process too.
So we're all learning in different facets of our lives, man. Yeah.
How do you think good communication versus bad communication can make a gigantic difference in, let's say, a client or a workplace, project?
Yeah. Talking to my team from the standpoint of, I would tell them, guys, go ahead and mess up. If you mess up, we're going to learn from it. So when they mess up and they call, I want to hear that they're apologetic, like there's some level of empathy. I'm sorry again, we messed up on this one. But if they call, we messed up, but here's what we need. If I don't see any kind of remorse, now I'm upset, because I want you to learn. Don't take this for granted. This is the process. So I speak with them with that loving care. Okay, guys, we have to do better. We have to do better. What do you feel better looks like? And I let them tell me because I want their brains going. I could tell them what I think is better, but I want them to start growing and learning because I want to be surrounded with people who are wiser than me.
Okay.
So I'm building into them, helping them feel, gaining more confidence, and I'm doing what they're suggesting so that they now see that the owner of the company is doing what I thought of. Like, somebody respects my opinion? Mm-hmm. Oh, shoot, yeah, here's an opinion. Now they come up with all kinds of different ideas, and I'm learning. These things may already be done in the world of cleaning, meaning they may come up with a process that may have already been solved in cleaning. My goal isn't necessarily to tell them, oh, yeah, well, they have something already that we can do that with. I would just take what they say, let's try it.
Yeah.
So I'm building people's confidence over time because I know that's what it took for me. You see where this is going?
Yeah, I'd imagine that really helps, like, just if someone has such a supportive boss like you who just helps them, like, personally, professionally, all that ends up affecting the way that they conduct themselves, like, outside, right? Family, optimism-wise, everything. Yeah. And I think that's a valuable service. And I guess it's through the vehicle of cleaning, right? And the end goal of the vehicle was?
Happiness.
And it seems like that's just spreading everywhere you go. Yeah. And so putting it back on me, right? I want to spread happiness also.
Okay.
And what's within me is what spreads outwards, as it is with you. Yeah. And so I also want to be able to play tennis, continue to do speaking and things like that. Yeah. But I want what I've experienced to be able to become useful for other people. So that's why, we've talked about this story, okay? Mm-hmm. Gerren, you had your job and you found a way to do what was more important to you. Okay, me, I was doing what I was doing and I changed to do what's important to me. I was following my dreams. Would you say you're following your dreams?
Absolutely.
Okay, you're absolutely following your dreams.
Absolutely.
So, and then hopefully this can help people to do the same thing. Yeah. Because I think that it doesn't need to come in the form of leaving a job. Yeah. It needs to come in the form of how you honor your instincts, right? The instincts for me brought me to this spot right here. Yeah. Instincts for you gave you this business, which ended up years later, you met me. Yeah. I was impressed with your qualities and here you are
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah.
And it came, I guess, instinct after instinct. Then the stuff, the world ended up appearing.
But it was always there.
It was always.
Our awareness has changed.
Yes, our awareness has changed, and we have now found ourselves in that spot in the world that was already there, or maybe not already there. Maybe we're creating it. Either way, but it's here now.
Yeah.
It's here now, and we wouldn't be in it if it weren't for what we've done.
Decisions made.
Yeah.
Our company, Clean Slate, works very closely with another company called Tuxedo Impressions.
Okay.
And the owner of Tuxedo Impressions, her name is Jamara Wilson. She attended Toastmasters. Mm-hmm. Had I not been encouraged by my then coach, to go to Toastmasters, to learn to be a better communicator, had I not accepted that challenge and gone there, I would not have met her. Okay? As I looked across the room and I saw her, and she introduced herself to the audience, and she said what she did, and she was a business owner. Immediately, remember I told you, I'm attracted to people, business owners. I want to learn. Mm-hmm. So I saw her there. I reached out and I said, listen, I would love to meet with you, just to learn a little bit more about your business, what it is you're doing, how long you've been in business, da da da. She's like, yeah, sure, absolutely. We sat down and we talked. From there, I felt I want to do business with you. I don't know how. I don't know if I have business enough to do.
Was this? No, this is a while ago.
This is a while ago.
Okay.
Several years ago.
Okay.
I can't remember right now. But I said, I don't know if I have enough business to hire you, but I think I want to do business with you. We tried something. I was spending money, and it was more of I was sending tasks. She was knocking them out real quick. Send it back to me. Sending tasks. Her company's sending back to me. I'm like, I can't keep up with these people. And then I said to her, serious. But I had the wrong mindset though. I wanted to work with them, but I didn't know how to delegate. That's the problem.
Okay.
I didn't know how to plan my day and then delegate goals or objectives so that they can be their best. So she was just doing tasks. Mm-hmm. That's not what a company does.
Yeah.
They help improve processes.
Okay.
So I realized I needed to have a process in order for her to help improve. I started working on building a process with my coach. And then she wanted to grow her business, not just vertically, but she just wanted to grow and understand. So she started paying more attention. We had to stop doing business together because I didn't have anything together. To send to her. Once I started having like a business, I started sending it out to her and I said, listen, this is where I'm trying to go. Can you help me get there? Oh, that changed everything because she now understood where I was going.
Yeah. So speaking of delegation, right? Like I think a lot of business owners end up underperforming because they don't trust or they don't want to spend money on delegating tasks, and as a result, they ended up doing stuff that other people could do, and then their time is spent on that, and also getting stressed about that, thinking about that, handling details about that, that could have been spent on growing their business. So how have you improved in delegation?
Yeah, that was an eye-opener for me. I was running Clean Slate or working for Clean Slate or building Clean Slate, however you want to put it. I was a one-man gang, and I was cleaning several different buildings, over 20, by myself. So I didn't sleep much, didn't see my wife much. It's really tough.
It sounds like a really unconventional jump, by the way.
Yeah,
I mean, like, I didn't know that was your story. But
Yeah, man, it was crazy. It was crazy. Sometimes I would sleep in my car on Michigan and Orange Avenue. There used to be a Starbucks there, but now I think it's a Walmart, neighborhood Walmart. I used to sleep there in my car right up against the building because they had lights in the middle of jobs just so I can hit the next job. It was nuts, man. Cops would stop by, like, what you doing here? And after a while, they realized, okay, he's that guy.
Were you the regular?
Yeah, and then they started parking their cars close by, and I guess to protect me, I don't know. But yeah, I stepped all over town, man, in my car to make sure that our clients were taken care of because I was trying to build something.
So that's caring, right? That's caring.
Okay, cool. My friend, his name is George Brandy, one of my great high school, not even high school, kindergarten, first grade buddies. He said to me, he stopped into town, he lived in Tampa, he stopped into town, he said, Gerren, do you want to be self-employed or do you want to run a business? I was like, George, what's the difference? Yeah, okay. And he was like, oh, oh, dude, let's talk. So we sat down, we went out for lunch somewhere, we sat down, he started explaining to me with his knowledge what the differences were. And I was like, George, I want to run a business. He's like, well, you got to do some things differently. I was like, oh, okay. And that's when I started looking for a coach. Now, when I saw the coach and I saw the amount of money I had to invest in the coach, I had to go back to my wife like, Joe, I want to try this coaching thing. But again, remember when I started the business back, I need your support in, can we afford to do this? And it was a hard conversation, but she said, Gerren, I trust you. Go for it. So now,
I see what you mean about having a supporting wife is extremely helpful.
It's helpful, man.
Yeah, because these are a lot of unconventional steps. A lot of people would have a lot of question marks if they were like your family. Or,
like, what is this dude doing?
Yeah.
You know? But it was
like
because
they might have thought you were crazy. You know,
Maybe.
or just naive or just reckless.
It was tough, man. One time, I remember one time my mother-in-law, and I still remind her to this day, I came home from work one time, and she asked me, she said, did you pick up any new clients today, son? And I said, no, I didn't. And she said to me, you think it's best for you to just go back to work for somebody? Dude, I've never been so upset with my mother-in-law, ever. Then until now. I turned to her and I said, don't ever ask me that question again. At the time, it was probably rude, but it was, I could not have anybody around me doubting what I'm doing. If you're gonna support me, great. But I felt like that was doubting because I had a bad day. Like, don't judge me based on a bad day. That's how I took it.
Well, you're also in a vulnerable position. Right, like if somebody doubted you now, it wouldn't matter because you've already,
correct.
You're set up.
Great point.
But when you're in the beginning, you yourself have your own doubts.
I don't need it anymore. You know what I mean? So it was tough, man. And and years later now, I kind of laugh. We talk about it here in the kitchen. I'm like, Mom's, hey, you remember when? And she's like, forget it, man. Forget it. Don't tell me. Don't ask me again. But I'm like, yeah, dude. It was about, you were shaking my confidence because my wife is trusting me. My mother-in-law is like. And I know she wants the best for me, but she is looking at it through her eyes, and she's just questioning, like, you sure you don't want to go back? And like, don't ever say that again, please. So that's another important thing. Having the right kind of people around you that help to support you, not blindly, but support you, even though it doesn't really make sense to them.
Yeah.
So that's been key for me. So I've had to let go of some friends, not because I hate them, not because they're bad people, but they're just not the right influencers for what it is I need. And I've gained some new ones, and I've grown as a result of that. And I look back, and not when I say look back, don't look at it in a negative way, but I've looked at some of my friends that I had to let go and say, like, hey guys, like, I want you to come along with me. Like, let's do this. I know you have some dreams and stuff that you want to accomplish. Like, let's do this together. And I'm learning that not everybody wants that. Not everybody's ready right now in their assignment to do the things that I was willing to do.
Yeah.
So I had to learn to be patient with myself, with everything that's in me to help other people to be a better version of themselves. I had to be patient, just say, dude, just mind your business, just jump on your own journey, and whatever happens along the way, but just focus on you, your family, those that are very close to you. Just take care of them, and the rest will work. So it's been a learning process for me, man, because I love being around people who are happy. I love being able to bring happiness to people. And when I see people who are upset but don't know how to make a decision, I'm quick to try to help. And I need to realize sometimes you just need to listen, Gerren. Just listen, man.
And I hope that businesses that get like your cleaning services too, like, are aware of what makes you guys different, who this guy at the head of it is, and how he inspires employees, and they know who they're doing business with. And I hope that it only continues.
Yeah, and I hope so too, man, because I want, and I've shared this before, like, some of our employees have been hired by some of our clients to work there, and better paying job, better opportunity, and that's a success story for me, because cleaning, again, is just a vehicle. It's not the end goal. So if they have the opportunity to be their very best here with us at Clean Slate, and then someone else notices and recognizes their talent, and it's a good fit, I'm like, go. But here's the deal. you better be a rock star for that company. Don't leave just to be subpar. If it's a step on your journey, that's fine, but be your very best. So I would check in with some of my former employees to see, hey, how are you doing? How are you doing? How can you be better? What do you need from me? How can I help? In the same kind of conversations I had when they were our employees, the same conversations I have with them now, because I want them to be their best. Hopefully they all want to be their best too.
Well, hopefully also they carry what they learned at your place into their next job.
That's the goal, man. That's the goal.
It just spreads.
Yeah.
It just spreads.
Yeah.
And what's the end goal?
Happiness.
And it sounds like everyone around is just sharing in it now.
I pray, man. I hope so, man. That would make me happy. That would make me happy today, and yeah. That's all I want, man. That's all I want.
Let's talk about habits for success in business, right? What have you seen in your own self and employees? Like, what would you say good qualities for an entrepreneur would be?
Good qualities for an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I can start. You need to be creative and be firm in your vision. And when you're creative, you're going to have a lot of different ideas in your head. And then when you finally settle one, you need to go with it and be able to withstand being doubted, being criticized, and push forward anyway. You need to have people skills, enough at least to deal with the immediate people that you're handling. And you need to be aware of what you're providing to the society. So that's just a few.
Yeah, and I think what threw me off is questioning within myself, what stage of entrepreneurship are we talking about? Because there's, in the beginning stages, for me at least, there's the whole being committed, being driven, having clear goals, willing to learn, willing to accept change, awareness, follow through. Those are some of the things that helped me to start my journey off well and still carry me through my day-to-day right now, which we can all pick up and lay it over someone who's working at anywhere, any employee.
Okay.
If they have those skill sets where they're following through on what they said they're going to do, they're showing up to work on time, or showing up before the time, so that when they hit their desk, they're prepared to begin their day. People who are, focusing on being highly productive. So if I was to take some of the things that I've learned right now and take it back to working at Hartford Insurance Company or anywhere else, I would learn how to be highly productive so that I can do more with less time.
Okay.
And still be able to go home. And I know some people would say, well, you can't do it with their jobs or what have you. And
you can't do what?
They would say, like, I can't get everything that I need to get done today.
Okay.
I think if we set great expectations and key benchmarks, and then we put in place a plan to accomplish those things, we can get the most important things that need to get done today, we can get them done, and we can feel accomplished at the end of the day. I believe Brian Tracy, he wrote a book called Eat the Frog First, which means it's something to that effect. But it's basically speaking about doing the hardest thing, the most difficult thing first at the beginning of your day, so that later on, if you don't get things done, at least those key things were done. Kind of like the same 80-20 rule. So if employees, people who are working day to day right now, if they would focus on the most important thing to get the most results now, I think they're already setting themselves up for success.
Well, there's something called productive procrastination, which is where there's something important that you have to do, but you do like lower priority tasks because you don't want to do the other one.
Right.
You think, I'm being productive.
Right.
I'm getting something done.
Something done, but this isn't the best thing to get done. Yeah. And I think that's why that book comes into place so much, man. Eat the frog first. Eat the frog first. Just get it out of the way. Here's some things that I would do. If I have started my day, and let's just say something happened, some hiccup occurred, and I didn't get to my office until 3 o'clock, and I know that I have to pick up my daughter by 5:30, I would look at those 2.5 hours, and ask myself, on the list of things that I have to accomplish today, what is the most important thing that I need to do today to get XYZ results? And that is what I fill in the 2.5 hours. I work on that as best I could. if I just do work to stay busy for 2.5 hours and still didn't hit the heavy things, I just wasted my time.
Okay.
The more I get, it's kind of like when you're going on vacation. When you're going on vacation, do you know how much stuff you get done before you leave your home or leave the job? Like, you do so much work because you know you're going to be gone for a week and a half and you don't want to get, snowballed at the end. But what if we took that same mentality every day?
Okay.
So it's just shifting, shifting the where you're trying to go. Let's look at going home to be with our kids, like taking a vacation. And then let's just bust out the most work that we can. So I think if people would do some of those small things, just be dependable, man.
How does someone feel when they get something well, I'd say someone would probably feel really accomplished when they get the hardest thing done at the beginning of the day, and then everything else not only is easy, they're able to take on harder tasks then too, which can help them grow, right? And grow their business or grow whatever it is they're doing personally or otherwise. Whereas if they're just dragging for most of the day before getting the important thing done, that time is productive procrastination. It doesn't feel good, and it's just a drag. And then you drag yourself into the big task. You probably don't do it as well, because you're dragging before, you have a dragging momentum, which is to say no momentum. And just getting this first thing done immediately, it knocks it out, and then everything, the feeling changes, which helps with that end goal of happiness.
Absolutely. So I do have
through the
those
process.
days. I have those days when, just like you explained, where I'm dragging through. I mean, I'm not perfect, so I have those days where I'm dragging through, and whether I just didn't start the day off well, or something kind of kicked me off course, and I didn't have all my notes before me to just get back into the rhythm. Once I see that start occurring, if it occurs over an hour, like an hour and a half of me doing that, I call it a day. I just shut everything down. Screw it, I'm going home. And I go home. Sometimes I might go home and play video games just to decompress.
Yeah, well,
start the next day.
Yeah, and you come back with a new vantage point the next day. And so you've been in business for over 10 years, right? And most businesses fail in the first 5 years. Why is Clean Slate alive and thriving, whereas it could have been part of the 80 or 90% that doesn't?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And remember we talked about focus.
A lot of things have to go right.
And remember we talked about what we focus on, we become? I did not focus on the economy crashing. I didn't focus on the housing market going down. I just asked myself, well, how can I, with this occurring, how can I still pick up new clients and meet new people? Remember we talked about...
Did those things hurt though?
What things?
Your prospects, the economy crashing and the housing thing.
I had some clients who their business was hurt. Yeah, several of our businesses, yeah. But we had some clients who literally fired or had to, they fired. They let go all of their employees, where it was just the owners and Clean Slate.
Okay.
Are you with me?
Yeah, you survived.
So I would tell them, why not let go of us, or we could shift our hours or shift the frequency so that you can probably keep an employee.
Well, that's a really nice thing of you to say, and not selfishly focused thing.
Right.
And that seems to be what is consistent through everything you do, everything about you.
Yeah. I mean, I love seeing businesses thrive, and I love learning from businesses or people in business. So if there's ways that I can help your business to thrive, and you can still be around, because there are people who are dependent on you to be in business, then I'll find another client, But all those people who are dependent on you to stay in business, I think that's more critical or more important than me just having a client. At the time, it was just me for the most part, So I oftentimes took that whole approach. I could find somebody, I could talk to somebody else, but keep those people on board. Some of them just couldn't survive, and they let go of people, and I would come in, and I'm looking at the space, and I'm like, but there's not much to clean. Nobody's here. A lot of empty desks. And they're like, no, we want to keep you. And they kept us up until either they came back around or they had to let us go.
There's a lot that goes into them letting go of employees but keeping you. Yeah. That speaks to everything that's going right. They feel what I felt off you, this giving, goodness, motivation, and they probably just wanted that around.
Possibly.
And even if you're like, okay, listen, go, fire us, it's fine, keep your employees, they're going to remember that.
Yeah.
And if they were to bounce back, they're going to be calling you.
Yeah. And
so it works. And I'm sure every intention of yours was just focused on, okay, let's do the right thing, right? But it also helps you reputationally, as it should, because you're doing a good thing and you should be rewarded for it.
Yeah, but I was focused on what I was focused on.
Right.
So,
and that's the way to do it best.
Yeah, I think so.
Just do the right thing and everything falls into place. I think that's the consistent theme of everything we've talked about today.
Yeah.
Follow the right instinct.
I remember those days, man. In retrospect, in hindsight, like recently, I would say about 2 years ago, my wife and I were going through some paperwork, some old bank statements, and we were shredding old stuff that we've been carrying from one house to the next. And as I'm in the living room and I'm shredding these things, I'm opening up these bank statements from Bank of America, and I started to look at them. Negative $100, 86 cents. Dude, serious, okay? I'm dead serious. I'm looking at the date, 2008, 2009. I'm like, yo. I'm like, Josie, I'm like, come see this. And she comes in the room and she's like, what? And I'm like, yo, did you realize that we were like broke? Like we were broke back in 2008. And she's like, let me see that. She's looking at the company's stuff and she's like, huh. And it just hit us like we'd never focused on it. You feel me? So it was happening to us, but every day was, if this is a challenge, how can we circumvent? How can we get around this? It was never, this isn't working anymore. It was just today's challenge. So now, years later, I tell some of my friends, Gerren, you solve problems. So when you go into the office today, expect to have a problem. You solve problems. So when problems hit me, I'm like, another problem for the day. It could suck. But in my mind, I'm just like, you solve problems. Figure it out. You figured it out before. Figure it out. And it starts with prayer. And then it's like, who should I speak to next? And I reach out to my resources, man. I reach out to my friends. I reach out to my vendors who are around me because they're the ones who support me. Mm-hmm. And I just, here's my problem. Here's where I need to go. What are your thoughts? And they get to share. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this. So I take it. I try it. If it works, write it down. This is how we solve that problem. So that the next time it comes around again, it's like, how do you solve it?
You have a database of problem-solving techniques.
Yeah, man. It's what you focus on.
Yeah.
We were. That's why when you were talking and you were saying it, I was listening to you because I'm like, yo, it was some rough times, but I didn't know how rough it was.
So what about like employees, right? What do you look for in employees?
Yeah, okay, good. So what and why I'm getting a little excited is because when it comes to employees, when it comes to people who are looking for employment, from the very beginning, the conversation is, why are you here? Like, what's going on in your world? Why do you think you need a job? Why do you think you need 2 jobs? How do you think you're going to handle 2 jobs? What are you hoping to get out of this conversation today? So I'm asking all these questions because I want to understand exactly where they are in their mindset. Because just like you said, mindset is key. You know, you shifted your mindset and then you started doing all these different things outside of tennis, outside of tutoring. So by asking these different questions, I get to understand the individual. And I'm not that kind of person who I'm sitting there and like, so tell me of a time when you did da-da-da-da-da. I'm more, let's talk. Because if I feel good about you, if I feel good about what you're bringing to the room, to the space, what I feel you bring to the team, we could work on the technical things of cleaning. That's minor. How you are as a person, the kind of energy that you evoke, that's more important to me. Now, granted, my HR folks, I work with ADP, they would say, Gerren, there may be some cues that you're missing. You need to ask some of these types of questions. And I'm like, but that's not me. Like, that's not how I like people. I don't like people by asking.
It's a formulaic, inauthentic way of getting a cookie cutter sort of answer.
Right, and studies have shown that they get XYZ results. Okay, but I don't enjoy talking to people that way. I just want to talk and feel. And so I have, we've broken on that process, and we have different people having those types of conversations. I get to ask people the way they like to talk to people. So that whole bringing people on and helping them to understand why they're coming on is critical to our success, and it's critical to their success. There are people that we have not hired who just went through our interviewing process and told us they've never experienced an interview like this before. Now, we didn't think, that's not what we're going for. But we're just having real, true, in-depth conversation. We just want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And they're like, I've never experienced it. Some people have walked away with a plan that they've created as to what they need to do next. So
that sounds like a great interview.
I mean, so if it's not us, at least you have the tools. You see right now before you what it is you really want. So go find a company that will help you get that. It's not us right now. Go find somebody who can help you. And they're like, yo, thanks. And they're smiling leaving. So that was an opportunity for me to be one of those mentors, coach, psychologist, you know what I mean? Those types of things for my personality.
Speaking of that, you're really good at uplifting, and I'm sure that employees come to you with problems of some sort. So I was wondering if we could do a skit.
Sure.
Where I'm an employee and I've got a problem, and I'll ask you, like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
So, all right, so I'm coming into work. Hey, Gerren, I'm sick and I'm having problems at home right now. And to be honest, I'm just really stressed about everything. And I don't really have the energy to work. I can find it maybe, but I really just kind of want to go home, but I don't want to take any time off.
Yeah.
I know we've got the job to do. You guys are counting on me, but I don't know. Like, I don't know. What do you think?
Okay. This is, I'm with you, and it's tough for us. But here. All right. You mentioned that you're stressed. Let's start there, because everybody gets sick. I get sick sometimes and I still work, or I still do what I have to do. But you mentioned that you're stressed. Like, what's going on there? Like, what's causing you to be stressed?
I've just been changing a lot lately. Like, I've been working. I enjoy that a lot. I get to take a break off stress. I get to talk with people at the cleaning company. I feel good. I talk to clients. It feels good. But I don't know, just personal things, just, at home, like my family, it's just, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know where I am. I don't know.
Right. And I mean, I've been there. And I'm reflecting because I've been there, and it hasn't. It really didn't help me being able to show up and perform. You mentioned being stressed. The reason why I'm bringing this up again is because if you're stressed today and you feel like you can't perform, if you get over the cold and you get over all the other things, if you're stressed tomorrow, what are the chances that you're going to perform again tomorrow? So I think what's stressing you is really what's going on. What do you think?
Well, so you're saying maybe I could, if I were to just focus on what I was doing, the stress might get less. Or, I mean, I guess you're right. I didn't think of that. I really just didn't want to work today, but you're right. I might not want to work tomorrow also if I don't address this properly.
Right. So if you can't work today, who do you think can perform the job the way that you do when you're at your best? Like when you're like busting it out. Who do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I know I do it really well, but I'm sure someone else could probably, I mean, it might not be the best job, but I'm sure someone else could probably.
But we need the best, because what we've been getting from you has been the best. And that's what we've started to depend on. Our clients depend on it. I'm okay with you taking a day off to kind of like settle your mind and so forth. What I need from you is just to help me think through who can we bring on board to perform like you.
You know what? Okay, you know what? We don't need to go there. I can do it.
Yeah?
I think so, because you're right. Like, and you know what? Maybe if I just focus and start enjoying it, the stress will get less, and I'll feel better. And maybe I'll address this problem now, and tomorrow I'll develop resilience, so the next time I'm stressed, I don't want to stop.
Is there anything that I can do? What can I do?
Just cut me a little slack if I'm a little bit slow today.
Okay, we could work with that. But what you will do, you'll do it well. What you do.
As well as I always do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All I can work with that. So what we'll do is we'll have one of your managers come around and just check behind you, and we'll give a little feedback. Not today. Give you feedback probably tomorrow. You know what I mean? I want you to just push through. Push through today if you can.
Okay.
And here's the deal. Call me at the end of the day. Just tell me how you feel. Tell me how you feel about what you did today. Tell me how you feel going home. And then let's revisit if I can help or how I can help.
That's what I love about you. You're always there.
Yeah.
You're so supportive. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Jay, that may not be perfect, but there is no perfect to having those kind of conversations. I just want them to feel heard, cared for, and then they get to decide what they want to do. I could tell them, well, if you leave today, you're going to get docked. Who the heck wants to hear that when they're stressing out inside? That's going to stress them out even more. I just want to talk. Let's just talk, man, and you tell me what it is you want to do in the end. If you still feel after all of this, you want to go home, okay, go home. When do you think you'll be better? When do you think you'll be like up to speed and ready to go? You get to choose. If you say it's going to be a week, it might be tough, and I'll flesh it out a little bit more. Like, why do you say a week? Well, because I just need time to settle down. What if you could feel better by tomorrow? Would you be interested? If you say no, then that's something where you just want to take off a week. But typically, if somebody doesn't feel good, they want to feel better as quickly as possible, right? So I'm willing to share with you some things that may help you feel better tomorrow. Why not take it?
Yeah.
So when I take people down that road, it has to get to the truth as to, okay, I just want to take off time.
And they're more likely to be honest with you too, instead of just like lie about it or you're like people are probably gonna just trust that when they've got a problem, you've got their back.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
And if they just want to take a day off, I'm okay to do that. I will call my manager and say like, hey, listen, this person wants to take a day off. I know it's tough for us right now. Can we afford it? If they say yes, chief will be able to work through it, Go ahead.
So do you experience more like loyalty among employees as compared to like competitors because of this sort of mentality?
So, great question. I don't know the answer to that. I do know that the people that come through our doors, we care for them, even if they're just there for the interview. We care for them, and we're focused on
from minute one.
Because they're people. And they're people with a story, and they have a reason why they're there. So why not care, I mean, I remember when I didn't have answers and I was looking around town seeking out people for answers as to what should I do, where should I go, how can I do this? And there were people who were just hoarding their information. They didn't want to share. And I know how I felt, and it sucked. I want you to be your very best because, Jay, if you become your very best at this, okay? Having interviews, going out, speaking to people, and so forth. As I continue to grow and you continue to grow, if I need to speak to or meet with somebody you've interviewed, guess who I call? You. Because you've done such a great job. So, Jay, listen, I would love to speak to Mr. So-and-so. Do you mind if you could connect? Sure, Gerren. Easy as pie. Mm-hmm. If you become subpar and I want to meet that person, who do I call? I don't have anybody.
Yeah.
So it behooves me to encourage and to support you to be your best because we never know when our paths will meet again and at what level.
Yeah.
So I'm investing in your future and my future.
Yeah.
I'm being a little selfish, but it's good selfish.
But the intention with which you're doing it is simply help.
That's it.
Help.
Every day.
So going forward, like if I was in a position to help you and you needed it, like, you just call me.
It becomes easy.
Because, we have the connection now.
So my goal is to learn how to continue to learn how to build rapport with people very quickly.
That's important.
Not to be superficial, but genuine rapport. And from the days when I used to think to the days when I think, that helped me to at least bring people in, People feel a little bit more welcomed around me. Sometimes I would wear a shirt that says, be inviting. The subliminal even though they see that guy over there, but they see the shirt and it says be inviting and it's big and bold, in their mind, they're thinking of what it's like to be inviting. So when they approach me or they're close to me and I say, hello, be inviting. Hello, sir. So I'm trying to send subliminal message in everything that I do so that I can help to build rapport quickly so that we can get to the truth of our conversations, of our relationship, so that I can quickly support you because I know that's what I want to do because you're a person, and we move faster to what brings us happiness.
Well, I think that given how good your personal skills are, and also just strong you are, like intelligence-wise and so on, you could do really well, like in this company, and also, I mean, thinking way forward, future company. And I hope to see that these mentalities continue to win and continue to grow as they should.
Yeah. I think if I could just spread the word with the people that I touch and people who touch me, and you being committed to do the same thing to the people that touch you, you see how we build it out? Then all of a sudden now your circle of influence is easily
accessible. Yeah,
to mine.
And I hope that this interview helps with that for you, like business wise.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that as much as I hope this interview helped you as far as in your growth as well as even your audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Great. So is there anything else that we should flesh out?
No, we'll save that for the second interview.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Gerren. This is a pleasure.
Yep. All right. Pleasure's mine.